has broken, and we are your consecrated hosts.
Jonathan, consecrated by baptism and confirmation.
Oh, very good. I'm also consecrated by baptism and confirmation, and a little holy order sprinkled in there. Father Jeff, you did not shave today, Jonathan, or yesterday. How many days has that been?
Just a couple.
No shave November is over.
I know.
This is, don't do that again December.
It's good to look a little rugged every now and then.
Is that what that is?
Yeah.
Some of us just call it unkempt.
See, I usually try to check myself in the mirror in the morning. I'm like, oh.
Usually.
I did today, and I'm like, that's not too bad. For tomorrow, it'll be too bad. So it'll be gone tomorrow.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Well, here we are, Thursday, December the
10th.
11th, 10th,
10th.
12th, 15th.
I think it's the 10th.
It's the 10th. We're a
10th.
third of the way through this month. A third of the way through.
There's only 30 days in December.
No, there's 31.
There are 31 days in December. We've gone over how I don't know all the... You had a thing with the hands.
January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. 31 days. Clear as mud.
Yeah.
Or that thing.
Or that thing. It's not even that bad.
Maybe, from a distance, it doesn't look that bad. Let me go stand way over here, Jonathan. Oh, wait a minute. Let me go to the other room. No, it looks pretty good.
Oh, good grief. Pray for me.
When I head way over there up to the other room and shut the door, it looks perfect.
Thanks, Father John.
Wow, I am kind of spunky today.
Kind of, yeah.
Holy moly. Oy. Well, it's just been one of those... It's been one of those weeks. Like, what we're trying to do at the office is get everything ready for Christmas.
Trying.
Holy moly. The pandemic is just difficult.
There is nothing easy about it.
There's nothing easy about it. So, of course, Christmas is going to be, we don't know what to expect. Who's all going to show up? What are people going to do? We have no idea. So we're just trying to create a plan so that people can reserve their spots and know how they're going to get there and don't have to arrive hours early and be sitting in cramped, compartments or what, So we're doing all of these things just to kind of make things better.
Yeah, we want to make the day of experience, There might be a little frustrations beforehand.
Maybe.
But there's going to be frustrations regardless.
Well, yeah.
And so...
Because it's one of those things, I've been thinking this through, and it's like, okay, so there's a couple scenarios that are going to happen. 3 scenarios that I can think of. Number 1, the same people who are already coming to Sunday Masses are going to come to Christmas Masses. There's number 1. Second possibility, number 2, people are going to say, I think I'm just going to avoid the Christmas Masses because they're going to be crowded and obnoxious, and I will just participate in the live stream this year because I don't want to be in that petri dish. The other option is going to be, it's Christmas, and even if I haven't really been attending Masses yet, I am going to that Mass. So you're either going to have those who are just come hell or high water go, who are going to avoid it at all costs, and those who are just going to do what they've always been doing.
And we don't know.
So I think, Jonathan, what we're going to do is we're going to have a reservation system, not really like a sign-up Genius, but an actual reservation system. So if you're familiar with reserving seats in the theater or on an airplane, when you click in there and put your information in, and then it pulls up a little map of the seating chart, and you actually click your seats that you are going to be sitting in, and then you get a ticket. And that's what we're going to do. So on Sunday evening at 7 p.m., this will go live on our website, and people may begin requesting or signing up for their Mass attendance. And what you will do is you will go in and put in your information, and you will click on the seats that you and your party are going to be occupying, and then you will get an email ticket with those seats on it. And then you don't have to come an hour or an hour and a half before Mass to get a seat. You will know exactly where you are sitting. We're going to have to go through in the days ahead and label every seat.
Yes. And
well, not every seat, but maybe every other seat.
Yeah. But you do have to arrive within 5 minutes of Mass.
Oh yeah, we'd like everyone to be there in their places at least 10 minutes before Mass begins. And 5 minutes before
you lose your seat.
Your tickets become invalid, and now anybody can just take those seats. So if we do happen to have people who are walking in, and I can't imagine that we're going to have a whole lot of walk-ins, because you're going to have to figure out when the Mass times are. So you're going to be visiting parish websites, and you're going to see what their policies are. I know every parish is doing this differently. So here's the thing. It doesn't matter where you are or where you are going to go to Christmas Mass. Check the website. Check their parish website to see what the procedures are going to be for attending Christmas Mass this year.
Yes.
Because most places are going to have to impose some social distancing. We're going to have, so we normally at that 4 o'clock vigil have 1,000 people, 900 to 1,000 people in the church and the gym and the narthex. Because we have to spread people out, we're not going to have more than 400 this year who is going to be able to attend that Mass. So the real possibility is you may not get to go to the Mass that you are used to going to. And there's nothing we can do about that.
No, I was thinking, Father Jeff.
Please, Jonathan, tell me.
Santa Claus travels the whole world and visits every single house in just one night.
He does.
And the night is lengthened because he can move along in the darkness. You're a priest, you don't have to go the whole world. You have, your 600-700 households.
Yep.
Why don't you just go to each house and do a Mass for each person?
Oh, well,
Because it's not the whole world in 24 hours.
No.
You just have 24 hours
There's
for
only
600.
700 households at an hour Mass each. There's 700 hours, Jonathan. And I'm only permitted to celebrate so many Masses a day.
Well, I guess we know why you're not a saint.
I do not have reindeer. Can you imagine me on my little sled with staples? It'd be like the Grinch. Put the little antlers on him, and there we go. Oh, speaking of flying around the world, Jonathan.
Flying around the world.
Today's feast day, it's been newly added to the calendar. I think Pope Francis just added this feast to the calendar. Like, he brought it to the general calendar. It was probably always in the calendar, but it wasn't in the general calendar that every place celebrated. Our Lady of Loreto is celebrated today.
Lepanto?
Loreto.
Why am I thinking Lepanto?
That's the Rosary. The Battle of Lepanto was when.
Oh,
the
that's
Rosary,
right.
Yes.
Okay.
Loreto is a little village town, I think, in Italy, and there's a big church there, and inside that big church is a small little house, and that little house is reputed in legend to be the house of the Blessed Virgin Mary from Nazareth.
In Italy.
Her house is now in Italy.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
How did it get there, you might ask?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
Well, once again, legend would claim that angelic beings picked up the house and flew it to its current spot, making Our Lady of Loreto the patroness of airline passengers.
Obviously.
Don't know exactly what the historicity of that is. It's a lovely little legend. It might have the house may have more appropriately moved out of Nazareth when Constantine's mother, Saint Helena, went excavating the Holy Land and looking for all of the archaeological sites of Jesus and his life and what have you. She may have not necessarily flown the house by angels, but she may have taken it stone by stone back, and then it ended up in Italy by a twisted and long history. I don't know. I don't particularly have a devotion to the Holy House, to Our Lady of Loreto. I like the litany of Our Lady of Loreto. It's usually that one that has all of the titles of Mary. Our Lady of this, Our Lady of that, Queen of this, Queen of that, House of Gold, Tower of Ivory, blah, blah, blah. So it gives her all of these titles. I like that litany. But that's about it.
Everything I know about Our Lady of Loreto, I learned in the last 2 minutes.
Look at that! We are an informative duo. Look at that! I give you credit.
For nothing.
You listened. In order to learn, you have to listen.
Okay, I thought it was a backhanded compliment.
It was. So today we've got our Jesse tree.
We do have a Jesse
Next
tree.
ornament as we trace our salvation history. So yesterday we spoke about the prophets.
Mm-hmm.
We want to speak of the other hinge today that really held together the Jewish people and their faith and their tradition. That would be the law, the covenant with Moses. The Ten Commandments. So the Ten Commandments really symbolize that great covenant with God's people. So Moses...
What happened in this picture?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
But there's 3 on this side. Is it because these are the 3?
The Ten Commandments are always portrayed that way.
3 and 7?
Yes.
When you guys
the first
see...
3 commandments are the commandments of God, and the last 7 are the commandments that apply to people.
I am used to saying just 5 and 5 for symmetry's sake.
Well, you would be wrong.
Let us know. 3 and 7 or 5 and 5. Just because that book has it.
Blah, 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 blah.
3 and 7, 5 or 5.
The love of God, the love of neighbor, the 2 tablets.
I understand
love
these
of God,
aren't from God.
love of neighbor. Jonathan, how long have you been Catholic?
I don't know.
When
Most of
when
my
were you
life.
baptized?
Yes.
Anyway, 3 and 7, 5 and 5, or maybe you're going to be Protestant and be 4 and 6. Because they divide the commandments up differently depending on how they're in the Bible.
How do Jewish people do it?
Don't know.
They are the ones, I mean...
Maybe. Are they? Really?
That's who it was given to.
Well, it was given to them, but then Moses broke them. So the Ten Commandments represent that covenant with God and His people. So He just freed them from slavery, made them His people, and Moses really becomes like a foreshadower of Jesus Christ. So as we go through our history here, Moses stands out as a type of Jesus Christ, and that means the things he did are like a reflection or a shadow or a precursor of the things that Jesus is going to do.
Freeing people.
Feeding them, saving them from dying,
Taking them to the promised land.
carrying them in. Yep, he got them most of the way there.
Yeah.
And then Joshua took over, and Joshua, interestingly, is the same name as Jesus.
Yeshua.
Jesus, Joshua, they're just variations of the same name. I guess it would be like, Charlie and Chuck. Variations of the same name. So, so Moses is this foreshadower of Jesus Christ, leading his people into salvation, and God establishes this covenant with him. So the law and the prophets, we kind of started talking about that yesterday. Mm-hmm. These are really the hinges that the Jewish culture is built upon. And so it really points us towards how do we live a good life being God's people. We are the love of God, tablet number 1, and the love of neighbor, tablet number 2. See, it's hearkening to the 2 great commandments of Jesus Christ. So perhaps that's why these are also often divided that way, Jonathan. So there's a theological reason, and then there's just a purely symmetrical reason.
Hey, I'm thinking it just in terms of space.
Oh, what do we have to hear about this?
Hopefully something good.
All right. Well, look at this. This is kind of long. I'm going to summarize. The lasting greatness of Moses is not his emancipation of slaves, but rather it is the basis he provided for a society in which people acknowledge their responsibility for their neighbor as a commission from God. People can break moral laws, but when they do, certain consequences are going to follow. As St. Paul and others have put it, as you sow, so also you shall reap. Let us pray. We thank thee, Lord, for people like Moses, who are able to break through the barriers of injustice and lead us into a better society. I think that's an interesting reflection there, that the love of neighbor really does come out just not of, oh, let's have a nice, comfortable society in which we're living, but the love of neighbor really comes out of God's command to us that we must love our neighbor if we're going to love God. So let's add our law to the tree. There we go. We're filling up with ornaments.
We are.
We're getting a little closer here to Christmas. Oh my gosh! If it's the 10th already, then that means there's like 15 days. Mm-hmm. This Sunday is going to be the halfway point. Well, it's the halfway point when Christmas falls on a Sunday, which is very close to doing it this year. So it's very much the halfway point. That's why this candle is a different color, because it's the halfway point and now it's all downhill from there. So we'll be lighting that rose candle this Sunday.
Looking forward to it.
I know, there's always something special about that rose candle. Maybe we'll talk about that a little more tomorrow. Get us ready for Sunday.
Yeah.
So we were kind of working through the liturgy.
Yep.
Sacred liturgy. Where did we leave off, Jonathan?
We were talking about me dressing up.
Oh, yes, your fashion sense. And shaving. I want to shave for the Lord so that we're nice and clean.
I might just grow a beard, just one of those because it doesn't grow in well.
Just to spite me.
It does not look good. I did No Shave November 2 or 3 years ago.
Did you really?
It was not good.
Was that before you were working?
Oh, no, I worked here.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
Well, you probably tried to suppress that memory.
I probably blocked it out. Every time I looked at you, I was like, hi, Jonathan. How are you?
It's not good.
Or maybe that's why every time you saw Jonathan, he was walking around like this. Why, hello, everybody. How are you?
My name's not Wilson.
There's a reference. If you don't know what that means...
You're too young.
Was that Home Improvement?
That was.
Home Improvement. Yeah, well, now you can just wear a mask and cover all of that up. That means I didn't have to shave today. This is one of those days where I was thinking, I don't necessarily want to shave, but I've got to go do First Reconciliation at St. Gerald's tonight. And I could have worn a mask. I'll probably be wearing a mask.
Are you bringing the purple one?
Probably. I wear my vestment masks. So let's talk about how I dress for getting ready for Mass.
You do the same thing every time. Why?
A little black, a little white, pretty much. Yeah, so I guess there's two things to talk about there. Number one, just personally speaking, when it comes to Sunday Mass, I also like to dress differently when I go to church than when I go to the office or for weekdays. So I don't just wear my regular blacks, I wear my suit. So I do put on a suit, I wear my suit jacket, sometimes I wear the vest, the clerical vest. Many times I'll have the French cuff on because it's the only way to dress up it's only the way to dress up the Roman collar. So I'll put the French cuff on or wear my full cassock.
Do you wear the suit under the vestments?
No.
Okay.
That would be much.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
So
I do wear the cassock.
But that's
under
what you
the
wear
vestments,
too.
But I wear to church. So there's me leaving the house. Hey, it's Sunday. I need to dress up. So I wear my dress clothes, my dress shoes, my dress pants, my dress clerical shirt, my suit coat.
Got it.
So put it all together. Or I put on the cassock as the alternate. So then, when it comes time to vest, I do take off the jacket, and if I'm wearing the vest, I take the vest off. And then I put on the sacred vestments. And the vestments, again, are a way to prepare one for the celebration of the liturgy. So they kind of, I know we've talked a little bit about this before when we were in quarantine, but I thought since we're talking about liturgy, and that was what we were discussing yesterday, it's just a way to think about what it is that we are doing and why this is important. So when you go back to the Old Testament and it's talking about consecrating Aaron as the first high priest, so Moses was getting everything ready and anointing him and preparing all of the sacred vestments that Aaron was going to wear and gird him in all of those things, all the way down to the sacred underpants. I mean, he had to wear the linen drawers. So there was a whole from top to bottom dressing in the sacred vestments. But we don't have that. So thankfully, we begin with the amice. And the amice is like big square piece of cloth with two long strings on it. So it almost looks like an apron. Mm-hmm. And you put the apron over your shoulders like a cape, stretch it out over the front so it closes the collar, and then tie the band around your breast. And that closes everything up here. So the collar then is hidden by the white. It's spiritually, it refers to the helmet of salvation. I think St. Paul talks about put on the helmet of salvation to resist the temptation of the devil. Those thoughts, those distractions, so as the amice goes on over the head, we pray the prayer that place, O Lord, on my head the helmet of salvation, that I might overcome the assaults of the devil. So there's a prayer that goes with each one of these little vestments too, which is, something. Then the long white garment goes on, and that's the alb. And the word alb literally means white, like the dawn, the white dawn. So you've got the whiteness that covers, and that's really your baptismal garment. So you'll notice all of the sacred ministers wear the white alb. Mm-hmm. If you're serving, or if you're the deacon, or, I've even been to places where the lectors or EMHCs also will don the white alb. Mm-hmm. I don't know what your experience has been. Have you ever seen that?
I have.
Where the other ministers wear albs?
Yeah, you don't see it too often.
No.
But I think somewhere when I lived out in the D.C. area, maybe at the Basilica, they did it for a couple masses or something like that. I
think anybody who came into the sanctuary had to be had to wear their white, had to wear the alb. The alb is representative of the baptismal garment. So it is the vestment, if you will, of all the baptized. And so that's where it begins. It's like, here's my baptism. And as you put on the alb, the prayer that goes with the alb is, cleanse me, O Lord, and purify my heart, that being washed in the blood of the Lamb, I may come to enjoy everlasting bliss. So that it just remembers your baptism, that you are cleansed in that. So the black is covered with the white. I remember seeing someone, they came in to church one weekend, and I was standing there in my black cassock, and they were like, oh, that looks so different. I'm so used to seeing you in white. Because if you don't come during the weekdays or see me dressed like this, and you just come on the weekends, you see me from head to toe in white. And it struck me as odd, because it's like, well, I'm mostly in black. It's kind of what... I'm not really the Pope. Not dressed in white every day. So the alb is that representative. Then we tie the alb with the cincture, the rope belt. And that really becomes like it's the belt of chastity. So gird me, O Lord, with the belt of chastity, and that I may overcome gird me, O Lord, with the belt of chastity. Oh, see, this is always the problem when you're not actually in the mode of doing it. That I may persevere in continence gird me, O Lord, that I may persevere in continence and in chastity. So in those two elements of the way we love, that I am continent and that I am chaste. That there is that spiritual bind on the love that the priest offers. So, gird me, O Lord, with the belt of purity, and extinguish within me any unholy desires, that I may persevere in continence and in chastity.
We got there eventually.
It
is so hard to do anything when you're only do it there in the sacristy, and then you're somewhere else and you're not going through the motions.
You're out of context. It's like you've got a place in your brain where that goes, and not all the pieces are lining up right now. So it's like, don't go pulling that out. It doesn't belong here. Okay, so now we're vested in amice, alb, cincture, which would be the vesture of any of the baptized, really. Mm-hmm. And then to designate that I am a priest about to engage in priestly ministry, the stole goes on over the shoulders and is worn hanging down on both sides. There's two little loops that you create with your cincture that it passes through to hold it all together. And the stole, there's a little cross that's on the neck of the stole, on the yoke of the stole. And so you kiss that and you place that over your head. And restore unto me, O Lord, the stole of immortality, lost by the transgression of our first parents, that I may come to enjoy eternal life, or something like that.
Do you have to take a class in seminary on how to tie your cincture so you can have stoles fit through?
It's one of those things where you just kind of learn by watching everyone else. Yeah.
Okay.
I got a B+. No, there's no class, and I would have gotten an A. So I'm very meticulous. Got the stole on, represents now I am a priest about to do ministry. Mm-hmm. And then for Mass, the Mass vestment is the chasuble. And that's the big mantle. Mm-hmm. That is, the word chasuble literally means little house. So it's appropriate that we're talking about that on the Feast of Our Lady of Loreto.
How fitting.
And when I'm standing out in the wind, it does fly away. So the chasuble goes on. And when you place the chasuble on the little house that covers everything, you pray, Lord, who said, my yoke is easy and my burden is light, help me to carry it in a way that is pleasing to you. So you put the work of salvation that I'm about to go do, and there one is vested for Mass.
I know it kind of contradicts itself by saying, you say my yoke is easy, but the burden is light. Saying that as you put on the chasuble is a little bit heavy. It's like, whew.
Yeah,
there's some weight behind it.
Some of those chasubles are a little heavy.
And just the weight behind the words of that because of the responsibility and everything else. It's just like, yoke is easy, burden is light. Nope, it's...
Help me to carry it in a way that is pleasing to you.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Do I find joy in this? Because when there is joy, there is no burden.
Right.
That the joy, takes that out. And so it really does call you to a joyfulness.
And then is there a difference in the chasuble that you wear and the deacon wears?
So the deacon wears not a chasuble, but a dalmatic.
Dalmatic.
So the deacon, instead of placing his stole over the neck, places the stole over the shoulder and across the side. And it's fastened usually at the side with a chain or a cord or something. And then on top of the deacon's stole, the dalmatic goes, and the chasuble is like a big mantle, and the dalmatic is like an oversized t-shirt. So it's got the sleeves, and it's cut straight down, so you don't have all of that extra fabric going on. And the deacon, there is a prayer that goes with the dalmatic, and it has something to do with the being robed in this vestment of joy. That the dalmatic really is a joyful service. Again, that charity. Because the deacon is a minister of charity, a minister of service. And so he is supposed to, his arms are to be free. That's why he's got sleeves. His arms are to be free to do the service, to be the servant. And so the deacon wears that dalmatic. I think the dalmatic is a handsome vestment. And it's quite a striking vestment. Yeah.
Does the design on them signify anything?
Not really. So Yeah, they're depending on the cut. So there are lots of different kinds of chasubles, for example. You can have a full conical chasuble, which would be, just imagine like a parachute, a full circle with a hole cut out in the center, and you put it on, and it drapes to the floor on all 360 degrees.
Where do your hands go?
You gather up your hands when you're ready to pray. That is probably the oldest form of the chasuble, and it was meant to be that way. A, for warmth, but B, because the only work that the priest did was at Mass was to pray, and so his hands were inaccessible until he prayed, and then they appeared. So there was something beautiful about that. And that's why the deacon then had the sleeves, because the priest was completely flooded in material. I do not have any conical vestments, but I do have some ample cut vestments. So that's the biggest chasuble. The Gothic style chasuble is the one that most people are familiar with, which is kind of that half circle looking sort of thing, and it generally extends to the wrist. The semi-Gothic is like a short sleeve version of the Gothic, and so it cuts it just a little shorter. And then the Roman vestment, or the fiddleback, cuts it off at the shoulders. So it's just that itty bitty little, it's called a fiddleback because it looks like a violin, as you're wearing it, just a very tiny little chasuble. So the design on it doesn't signify a whole heck of a lot.
Got it.
On the dalmatic, traditionally, again, today you can design them any way you want, but traditionally the dalmatic would have 2 stripes going down with 2 crossbars on it, and that you knew was the deacon. 2 stripes going down and 1 crossbar was the subdeacon. So there were ways of telling who was who by the vestments that they were wearing.
That's the information I was looking into.
Yes.
Like, you could tell right away.
Yep. So if you would go to a celebration of the Mass in the extraordinary form, pre-Vatican Council Mass, you would probably see the priest, the deacon with the 2 crossbars, and the subdeacon with 1 crossbar. The subdeacon, that role has been taken by the acolyte today.
Interesting.
Jonathan, we're over time.
One last question.
Go.
We called them sacred vestments. So does that mean you do a blessing with all the things you get for vestments?
Yes.
Like sprinkle some holy water, maybe?
Yep, all vestments have a particular prayer blessing for them, depending what they are, and they are doused in holy water.
That's making them sacred?
Yep. They are sacred then by their blessing, and then by what they are going to go do.
Well, color me surprised, but we took the whole time talking about you. I'm not surprised.
Jonathan, tomorrow perhaps we'll talk a little more about you.
Because we're going to talk about Our Lady of Guadalupe?
She's on Saturday.
And Gaudete?
We'll talk about a whole lot of things. There's not going to be time for you, Jonathan. Have a good day. We'll see you tomorrow.